My name is Elizabeth, though most people call me Liz. I am 42 years old, and I live in a quiet, tree-lined suburb of Portland, Oregon. For the last 16 years, I've been married to David, an architect who is as solid and dependable as the foundations he designs. To everyone who knows us, we are the perfect family. We have a bright, talented 16-year-old son, Leo, who is the center of our world. David is the kind of father you read about, patient, supportive, and endlessly proud. He trusts me completely. And for 17 years, I have been betraying that trust with a single lie. It wasn't a lie I planned to tell. It was a secret born of panic, one that grew and rooted itself so deep it became the foundation of our entire life. Before David, my life was chaos. I was in love with Jake. We met in our early 20s, right after college. Where I was quiet and careful, Jake was a wildfire. He was a musician full of chaotic energy and dreams of moving to Austin to make it big. He was magnetic, exciting, and completely unpredictable. He made me feel alive. We were together for 2 intense years, but my family hated him. They saw him as unstable, a dreamer with no plan. His parents felt I was too conventional for him. The pressure from all sides was immense. Jake started to pull away. He became distant, frustrated. Then one night, after a bad fight, he packed his guitar case. "I'm going on tour," he said. I need to do this." He left. His phone calls became less frequent, and then they stopped. His number was disconnected. He vanished from my life as quickly as he had entered it. A few weeks after his last text message, I sat on the cold tile of my apartment bathroom, staring at 2 pink lines on a pregnancy test. I was completely alone. I tried to find Jake, but he was gone. I was terrified. That's when I met David. A friend set us up on a blind date. David was the opposite of Jake in every way. He was calm. He listened. He had a 5-year plan. He was, in a word, safe. I didn't tell him I was pregnant. I was ashamed and desperate. David liked me. He pursued me gently, bringing me soup when I was sick, asking about my day at the library where I worked. I didn't love him, not then, but I admired his kindness. When he proposed 6 months later, I said yes. I told myself I could build a life on respect and safety. I convinced myself that the passionate, fiery love I had with Jake was just a youthful mistake. And then I told the lie. I told David I was pregnant and that it was his. The timing was tight, but plausible. He didn't question it. He was overjoyed. When Leo was born, David held him with a reverence that broke my heart. "He's perfect, Liz," he whispered, tears in his eyes. "He's our son." Every day since then has been a mix of gratitude and guilt. I watched David coach Leo's Little League team, stay up all night helping with science projects, and teach him how to drive. He poured his entire soul into that boy. And as Leo grew, I saw Jake in him. The way his eyes lit up when he picked up a guitar, his quick, rebellious wit, his natural charisma. David just saw the son he adored. "He gets his talent from your side of the family," he'd say proudly. I had built a beautiful, happy life on a foundation of sand. I just prayed the tide would never come in. Then, 2 months ago, it did. It wasn't a dramatic collapse at a game. It was slower and more terrifying. Leo, now 16, had been tired for weeks, pale. He kept getting unexplained bruises. After a round of blood tests, our doctor called us in, his face grave. Leo had a rare form of aplastic anemia. His bone marrow was failing. He needs a transplant, the doctor said. We need to test immediate family members first. David, we'll start with you. The world tilted. We were in a sterile white room at the hospital. I felt cold. David, ever the rock, just rolled up his sleeve. Later that day, the hematologist returned, holding a file. He looked confused. He looked at David, then at me. David, the doctor said carefully, there must be a mistake in the records. We ran the genetic markers. It's a medical impossibility for you to be Leo's biological father. Silence. The sterile smell of the hospital, the beep of the monitor down the hall, everything became deafening. David just stared at the doctor. He didn't look at me. He didn't say a word. That night, in the hollow echo of the hospital cafeteria, I told him everything. I told him about Jake, about the pregnancy, about the fear, about the lie. I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. David sat perfectly still, his coffee untouched. When I was finished, he stood up, put his chair back under the table, and walked out. He didn't say a single word to me. For the next week, we lived as ghosts. David slept on the pull-out couch in Leo's hospital room. He coordinated with doctors, took calls, and held Leo's hand. He was a pillar of strength for our son. To me, he was a stranger. He spoke to me only when necessary, in short, clipped sentences about medical logistics. Leo, sick and scared, could feel the tension. "What's wrong with you and Dad?" he asked, his voice weak. "We're just stressed, honey." I lied again. Lying was so easy now. Then things got worse. Leo overheard David on the phone with his own mother. "I don't know what to do," David said, his voice cracking. He's not my son." That night, Leo confronted us. "What did you mean, Dad? What does she mean he's not your son?" My heart stopped. David looked at me, his eyes full of ice. Then he turned to Leo. He sat on the edge of the hospital bed. "Leo," he said, his voice firm, "we found out something. The man you came from, it wasn't me." Leo stared at him, his 16-year-old mind trying to process it. "So, you're not my dad?" "No," David said, his voice breaking for the first time. "That's not what it means. I am the man who raised you. I am the man who loves you. I am your father. That will never change." I was a spectator in the wreckage of my own life. The next day, I was sitting in the hospital atrium when a man walked in. He looked older, his hair was thinning, and he wore a tired denim jacket, but I knew him instantly. It was Jake. My legs gave out. He walked right up to me. "I saw a Facebook post from your cousin," he said, his voice raspy, "about Leo. He needs a donor. I did the math, Liz. He's 16. He stared at me, his eyes pleading. "He's mine, isn't he?" I couldn't speak. I just nodded. "I need to see him," he said. "I need to get tested. I want to help." Before I could answer, David walked up, holding 2 cups of coffee. He saw Jake, he saw my face, and in one shattering second, he understood. The 3 of us stood there, the past and the present, colliding in a sterile hospital lobby. Jake was a match. The doctors called it a 1 in a million chance. He was the perfect donor. The days leading up to the transplant were the strangest of my life. Jake was suddenly there, sitting in waiting rooms, talking to doctors. He was trying to be respectful, but he was also desperate to connect. "I want to know him, Liz," he'd say in a hushed tone. "I cleaned up my act. I'm married. I live in Seattle. I didn't know. You have to believe me." David was building a wall of ice. He refused to be in the same room as Jake unless a doctor was present. He was furious, not just at me, but at the universe. The one man he despised was the only one who could save his son. "He's using this," David said to me one night in a rare moment of conversation. "You see it, don't you? He's going to use this to force his way into our lives." I suggested therapy. "All of us," I said, "for Leo." David finally agreed. The transplant was successful. Leo's body accepted the cells. The color returned to his face, and just as David predicted, Jake made his move. "I saved his life," Jake told our therapist. "I'm his father. I have rights. I want to be part of his life. I want visitation." The tension was suffocating. Leo was recovering, but he was also torn. He was grateful to Jake, but he was David's son. "I don't know who I am anymore," Leo admitted in one session. Finally, David spoke. He hadn't said more than a few words in therapy for weeks. He turned to Jake. "You're right. You're his biological father. You just saved his life. I will be grateful to you for every day I have left." Then he turned to Leo. "Leo, I can't compete with that. I can't compete with biology or grand life-saving gestures. All I have is the 16 years I've been here, the boring days, the homework, the driving lessons, the arguments about curfew." He took a deep breath. "I want to adopt you, legally. You're 16, so it has to be your choice. Jake gave you life, but I'm asking if you'll let me be your father." The room was silent. Leo looked at Jake, who seemed stunned. Then he looked at David, the man who had sat by his bed for 2 months, who had never left. Leo started to cry. "Dad," he said to David, "you already are." The adoption was finalized 2 months later. Jake fought it first, but his lawyer told him he had no case. He was a biological donor, but he was a legal stranger. He hadn't been there for 16 years. He stopped coming. He sends Leo a text on his birthday, which Leo politely answers, but he's a ghost again. Our family is not fixed. Healing isn't that clean. David and I are still in therapy. There are days when he looks at me and I know he's remembering the lie. The trust I broke may never be fully repaired, but we are rebuilding. Slowly, brick by brick. Last week, we were helping Leo pack for a summer music program. David was showing him how to fold a suit jacket. They were laughing about something. I stood in the doorway, just watching them. David looked up and saw me. He didn't smile, not exactly, but he held my gaze, and in his eyes, I saw what he told me in therapy a month before. He'd said, "I used to think love was a feeling. It's not. It's a choice. It's the choice to show up every day, even when it's hard, even when it's broken." He chose to stay. He chose me. He chose our son. My name is Elizabeth, and I built my life on a lie. But my husband, in his infinite, stubborn, beautiful grace, is rebuilding it on the truth.